Hello there and welcome to TaAF Talks, the show all about influencing positive change and doing things differently. I'm Jamie.
And I'm the special guest.
Does he have a name?
Ken.
Ken, thank you. And along with some guests, much more experienced than me, this intro doesn't work very well, we want to share some real stories and experiences of making real change happen. And ideally, we'll have a bit of a laugh on the way.
Maybe. But we'll see. It depends what the special guest is like.
Oh dear. Okay, so what have we got coming up today?
So today's podcast is going to be about... So TaAF overall is about helping people get more active. And we're the lab rats. And we're going to talk a bit about what our journey's been like in getting more active.
That's right. And we're going to treat Ken as the guest today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I've got a little bit of a bio on Ken. So I asked Ken what would he like me to say about him, and he said, everyone knows who I am, just Google me. And I think we can all agree that that's a measure of the arrogance of the man when it comes to his status in life.
It's all there on Google. Check it out. I've accomplished basically nothing, but I've enjoyed the journey.
Good. As bio goes, everyone knows who I am, Google me, I think is the best one we've had so far.
I'd agree. Because I've done all the others and they've been wicked boring. So at least that one was not boring.
Okay, and we're going to try for a bit of a short, sharp, snappy podcast today, just from me and you, Ken. So, success factors. What is success for you from this chat?
I think it's I think I'd like to have a bit of a chance to make fun of you a little bit.
Okay, chance to make fun of Jamie.
Point out your weaknesses.
Well, good luck with that, mate.
I'd also like to sound less breathy on the podcast. Less deep breaths. That's something I'm working on.
Is that something you've noticed from listening back to the podcast?
Yeah. Too breathy.
Quite breathy. Okay, so less breathy.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, perhaps related to the actual topic that we're talking about in any way?
We're just going to tell the truth.
Okay.
We're going to tell the truth. This is going to be real life, real truth about what it's like trying to be active when you're finding it hard.
Okay, so you want to make fun of me, be a bit less breathy, and not lie.
Yes.
Perfect. Success factors, great. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So what we talked about for this podcast was, as you said at the start, we're part of Together an Active Future, and that's all about how you can help people move from nothing to something and something to more. And at the start of this journey, me and you were both very much in the nothing category and trying to probably get into the something. And it always felt a little bit odd that we were at the heart of this team and this opportunity, but actually we're struggling to live it ourselves and struggling to motivate and challenge ourselves to do more. So let's get into that a little bit. Your experience of kind of the start of this journey and what it was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a real challenge for me, and exactly that. There's almost a sense of hypocrisy to it in let's spend hours and hours, hundreds if not thousands of hours thinking about working towards people being more active and how we can help them, and we're going to become experts in this field and change the world in our place. But I'm finding that really difficult. And we've talked a lot about, what the barriers people face and how can we help them to understand their barriers. And I think I remember saying a few months ago that how can we help other people to understand where they're coming from? I don't even understand myself, why it's a challenge to be active. And, we've made plans and I've been down different roads trying to think about what can I do. And we've had some success, and you've had more success than me, I think. But it's been hard, right?
Yeah. So I think coming back to, so we tried to do some things at the start as a team just to motivate each other for that very reason that it felt hypocritical to be talking about this as if it's other people and not recognising ourselves. So we used to set personal challenges each week with the idea of if you call out what you're going to do in front of a team of people, it might encourage you to do it a bit more. And we also then encourage people sharing on WhatsApp, our WhatsApp group, to say, look, I've been out tonight, really happy with myself. And the team were generally really good at giving positive feedback and things like that.
I think there was two sides to that for me, which was really interesting as we explored it a bit more. So there was times where people were like, I've been out for 6 runs today, and I'm just going to pop out for a quick half marathon or whatever it was. And sometimes that would be like, I could go for a run now, and it's 10 o'clock, and actually I could do a run now, and off I went, and that was great, and it felt fantastic. There are other times where people are like, ooh, I've only done 4 runs this week, and I'm like, oh, sod off. I've not done any. Stop bleating about it. You're awesome, and I'm useless. And there's something almost also a bit demotivating about the fact that other people were finding it easier and doing better, and almost maybe jealousy is I wanted to be doing that, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so there was 2 sides of it, being motivating and a bit depressing as well.
And I think you do tend to, when it comes to this particular thing, I mean, in other areas of your life, you're massively cocky and arrogant about all sorts of things and declaring yourself the king and master of most other areas. But I think in this particular sphere, you do tend to use very negative language about yourself in this regard, to the point of where I almost want to give you a little cuddle and say, that's not true, Ken, don't beat you up. So
I'm glad that you don't do that.
I know, and I'm disappointed that you're glad about it, because there's nobody in the world I want to cuddle more than you. And but seeing the revulsion on your face as I approach you puts me off quite a bit. But I think there was me and you, and it's interesting, I think we were on kind of the same journey, in as much as we were buddies in the ha, we've done nothing this week.
Yep.
We're the inactive population that we're talking about, and we don't understand why.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of carried on. And I know we've had an interesting chat recently where somebody talked around being pulled towards wanting to do something as opposed to being pushed towards doing something. And I think probably in hindsight, and it's not a bad thing, that kind of trying to motivate each other to get out and do something because we should, because we're part of this thing, is probably more of a push.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not really identifying, well, what's the pull that really makes me want to go out and do something that's I might struggle to find time for, or actually isn't a priority in our life.
Mm.
And I think it's what we've kind of touched on a little bit with you is, whilst you've kind of always used this negative language about yourself, and it's like, well, I don't know why, but we've always had that chat of, but we've never really taken the time to, and you might have done, but has anybody really sat down and chatted to you about that and reflected on that stuff and tried to do the stuff that we're talking about doing with other people in this pilot of understanding more about the reality for them, what the pulls might be, how you can support them to kind of work out how they can build it into their lives?
Yeah, and I think...
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think you're right about that push and pull, and that external motivation hasn't worked for me. I think there's a couple of things that are really interesting. So my kind of negative self-talk about it is a bit of a defence mechanism, that if people ask me, have you been active? And I say, and I just go on a big whinge about it, people tend to leave me alone. And so there's a bit of a barrier. But there's also a bit of maybe arrogance or maybe pride, I don't know, I should be able to figure this out myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm reasonably, I'm fairly dim probably, reasonably intelligent, self-aware person, but I know what I need to do, but it's hard I found it difficult over a consistent period to do that. Yeah. So there was this time last year, where I ran every day for maybe a month or a month and a half. It was interesting when I had the operation on my shoulder that I was walking all over everywhere, even walked from Rottenstall to here in Pendle, about 13.5 miles to a meeting, just because why not? You
had time and you could, and why not?
Yeah, and I think it was partly about that time. If I couldn't drive, if I want to go somewhere, then I'll have to walk. And I really enjoyed that. But it's something around just the balance and the priority of, up to now, I've not found a way to consistently prioritise being physically active over all of the other responsibilities and pulls on my time. But I know that I'd be happier if I did. And so that's the really interesting thing of why when you know that something will make you happier, would you not do it? It don't make any sense.
Okay.
And one of the other, I suppose the other, I'm going on a bit now, but the other really interesting thing I think...
You are the special guest.
Thank you. Very special, but we're not sure in which way. The other thing that I found is this sense of when I've been exercising or playing sports or doing something, there's a real interesting dynamic between me thinking about what I used to be able to do when I was very, very active and very sporty and playing sports and doing stuff at a reasonably high competitive level compared to what I do now. So I could comfortably go and run an half marathon and training jog, no problem. Now, 30 seconds into a run and my lungs are on fire, my legs are hurting, I'm like, it's not supposed to feel this way. And so there's almost a bit of a disconnect. It's a bit depressing, actually, to be like, where have I got myself into this position?
I've told you not to run after a really big vodka session, because that really does burn. I know what you mean.
It? Yeah. I've not experienced that. It's more the lack of oxygen.
All right, sorry, I've got you.
For me, rather than the alcohol. So, yeah, interesting.
Well, I think so, and I'll touch a little bit on kind of where I was at, and then we'll do a little break, and then we'll talk about kind of going forwards or where we've moved to now a little bit. So I think for me, what and I think a little bit for you as well, I was usually active if there was a fun excuse or reason to be. So generally, because I'm a little bit of a child at heart, when it comes to when I was active, it would generally be because me and Neve went out trampolining, or we went out to play to the park and stuff like that. And I tried to do running, but it's proper boring running, isn't it? And I know loads of people like running, and don't let this discourage you, each to their own. And actually I think things like park running, that are awesome, because actually they're social running. And that's probably why they work so well for people. Versus I would just put trainers on and go out for a run on my own. And whilst I came home a bit satisfied, it was a boring thing to want to do more of. So I quickly got out of the habit of that, and needed to find something else. If it wasn't the fun bit, and because I only have my daughter half of the time, it's what am I doing when it's just me in that space. Now I've recently found something that seems to be working with me so far, but we'll touch on that in the next half.
You're doing really well. You're like my hero.
Don't say that. You know I get emotional very easily, and I will weep and then need the hug you don't want to give me.
You're my physical activity hero.
I was going to sing a bit of Enrique then, but I won't.
Maybe you can afterwards.
Okay, so as part of our regular feature, we are going to do the Pennine. I've taken to introducing it this way now. The Pennine quickfire questions for Ken. So as you know, quickfire questions, you probably know what's coming, but let's see. There will be a timer on to put maximum pressure on you, and I can pause it at any point if one of your answers is absolute garbage and I want to get into it a little bit more. Okay?
I'm ready.
You ready? Here we go. Okay, what is your nickname?
Probably haven't got one now, but ears at school.
I mean, I'm going to pause it, but I think I know the answer.
Fairly obvious. Got massive ears, innit?
For listeners at home, they're not massive, they're just quite a bit bigger than normal.
They stick out a lot.
The beautiful ears, honestly. Right, carrying on. Which Harry Potter character are you most like?
Dumbledore.
Okay, carrying on. One thing that annoys you?
Being physically inactive.
Okay, I think that's true actually. I think it does annoy you, which is interesting. One thing that makes you happy?
Playing sports and having fun with the kids.
Lovely. How long does it take you to get ready?
25 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like that. Run, walk, cycle, or something else?
Probably something else.
Okay. Do you want to catch elaborate?
Do you know, I really like playing rounders in the park.
Rounders,
I think that's my favourite thing.
Qualifications or experience?
Experience with a hint of qualifications.
So it's a little soup song of qualifications.
Do you know what?
Thrown in.
I think experience is really interesting. Do you know what? I'm not really interested in either.
Okay.
I'm interested in attitude and personality. Oh. I think are the most important characteristics. So some of that you can develop through education and learning about yourself, and some of it's experience, and some of it's just gene pool. Gene pool.
All right. Don't go on. This is quick fire questions. Come on. If there's a spider in your house, do you kill it or set it free?
Joyfully kill it.
No, evil man.
I sometimes set it free. It depends if anyone's watching. Set it free if there's people, watching on.
How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to Mariah Carey? 3. Just for listeners at home, you should have seen his face when he said 3. He looked disgusted by that question.
Well, do you know what? I like to sing, but I can't. My wife describes me as musically dead. But I really like it, so there's a strange thing of... I don't like doing things I'm not good at, but I enjoy singing. So But karaoke, I've never done it.
No.
I've never had the guts to stand up.
No, because your wife supports you. By
She's glaring at me like, do not do it. Do not do that. You'll embarrass yourself forever.
Okay, final question. It's a toughie.
Yeah.
Jamie or Ken?
Ken. 100% all day, every day.
And you've met him, yeah?
Yeah, I've met him. Like him a lot. Could do to be a bit more active, but if that's your only weakness, then...
Well, that and the ears.
That's true. I've never considered getting them reduced inside.
No, I was only joking. Please don't go and do some surgery or something on the back of this.
Get them pinned back.
Okay, we're going to move it on now into one of the things I wrote on the kind of ideas board I was about to describe it, which is a grand term for what we have.
Yeah.
Is physical activity. How do you crack it as a busy adult? Mm-hmm. Now, I think we've just talked then about the reality of where we are and the fact we're always trying to kind of do this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience in the last few months, if that's okay. Because I'm not going to say I've cracked it, but I'm certainly going to say that I've surprised myself with where I've come from to what I'm doing now as well. And there's a few reasons why along the way.
Yep.
So, as me and Ken were describing, I was pretty much dipping in and out, and I'm quite a faddy person generally with most stuff. And weirdly, the thing that motivated me or pulled me, and this is, I don't know if I should say it out loud really, because it feels a little bit, what's the word? Egotistical a little bit.
Get it out there, no lies.
No lies, tell the truth. So basically, the thing that bothered me a little bit was I was walking past just a shop with glass windows, and I like to wear t-shirts. I wear nothing else but t-shirts pretty much constantly, and I usually wear quite slim fit stuff as well. And I just noticed my profile in the reflection in the window, and it was quite off-putting. And I kind of hadn't realised that I'd started getting quite just tubby all there in front, and it looked gross.
All out in front.
All out in front. So if I gain weight, it purely goes on my belly and nowhere else. So I'm a stick everywhere else. But actually, and I know it's something little and a little bit daft, but it was enough just to make me pause and go, firstly, I'm tight, so I don't want to buy new t-shirts.
Yeah, and that's where I'm heading.
Yeah, I'm heading to the slightly larger section in the shops, which I don't. But there was almost just that bit of, blimey mate, you can do something to sort that out. You know, it's a little bit of a self-conscious thing. I'm quite confident in most things, but it was more for myself. I didn't like it. So it was something dead simple. But what really, really helped is the fact that I had a friend who is...
Hang on a minute. You had a what? I don't think you know what that word means.
I have one friend who just so happens to be like a what's it called? A personal trainer. Yeah. And I've always said I'm not a gym person. I'm not somebody who will go and do a routine program. But what I just said to him was, look, I just feel like I want to get a bit fitter and feel a bit nicer than I currently do, because I'm just a bit not there yet. And I won't go to a gym. And because I've got Neve, I've got almost no time whatsoever. It needs to be something I can do in my own apartment as quickly as possible. And he just sent me through, he said, you could just try these things. And he gave me 2 really simple things to just try at home. And having somebody who you know lives in that world, giving you just something, you instantly have a confidence that that's a real thing that somebody says, that's quite good for you, try this out. And all he did was send me 2, there were actually 30-minute programs at first of what were called Tabata sessions. Yeah. And basically, for people who don't know what Tabata is, it's basically really high intensity workouts where you do 20 seconds of absolute maximum pushing yourself in a particular thing, and then 10 seconds rest. And you only have to do it for like 15 or 20 minutes, because the idea is you push yourself to the max, and then you're at exhaustion at the end of it.
And what's interesting with it is everyone's maximum is different, right? So your maximum is just the maximum on that day.
And what's awesome is it's all just about your own body. So you don't need you don't need to buy any equipment, you don't need anything. You just need, you in a space and 20 or 30 minutes. And that's it. Because everything's about your own body weight and stuff like that. So basically, I tried these different exercises, and he showed me some YouTube clips, which are really, really helpful. And I just started trying it. And he said to me, do it 4 times a week. And I couldn't do that at first.
No.
And I felt quite weak. When you can only do like 3 press-ups before you're giving up, you feel a little bit lame, to be honest. But then, just because they were quite easy, and it was 20 minutes, and I could do it in my own time, even after Neve's gone to bed at 9:30, it's still okay. And he was giving me little nudges, that was it. And actually, I started doing that, and before I knew it, I'd done 3 in a week.
Well.
And actually, I was like, I've done 3 in a week, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then what was helpful is I then shared that with another person, another friend, Ken, would you believe?
Acquaintance, probably. Yeah. Could be inaccurate.
And because this was somebody who said, oh, I'm getting a bit fed up with the gym. And I said, well, I'm doing this, try this out. So then this person started doing it. And then what happens during the week is this person will say, I'm going to try doing this tonight about 9 o'clock. Do you fancy it? So then we'll sync up the playing of a YouTube video for 20 minutes and just do it. And then afterwards go, wow, that was a toughie. And so just a few really simple things of somebody who knows what they're talking about saying, do that based on that criteria. So me setting a criteria that said, I won't do a gym. I won't do this. It has to be in my time. It has to be this. It has to be this. Which is probably not ideally what you should do. But that's the reality for me. So I painted the reality for me of what could help me be active first. And then I said to somebody, can you do anything with that reality?
I think what's interesting with that, just butting in briefly, is one of the tricky phases, I think, for a lot of people is deciding what to do and the plan to do it. And I think that's a really good way of actually getting some advice and saying, these are my criteria, what shall I do? And if someone just says, do this, you're not having to research it, you're not thinking about it. That's a whole factor that's a barrier, I think, the kind of planning of it.
The scary bit of if you Google or YouTube any of this stuff, there's 58 versions of this type of thing, or this is what you should do. You've been doing this wrong, you should do it like this. Yeah. One person who says, based on what you've said, that'll probably work, have a go. And then, because you've created that criteria, it should be achievable to some degree. And then starting, and then realising suddenly you're doing it a bit more, and then finding another way of finding another little motivating factor after a few weeks to get past that hurdle of you start going back down again. Yeah. And that might be one person nudging you, or whatever it would be. So I think just some really simple things of criteria, a person with confidence saying that could work, and then me then growing in my confidence to say, I'm bored of that now, but I know that I can now go and Google Tabata workouts for 20 minutes and know I'm doing some good. Because at the end of it, you're absolutely knackered, pouring with sweat, and you really feel like you've achieved something.
Sounds gross.
But for other people it is. But part of my criteria was I want to feel like I've smashed something no matter what I'm absolutely doing. So I think, and I'm currently in the spot where if I'm close to doing this 4 times a week consistently now for 2 months. Now it's not going to get me ripped.
I think longer than that.
Well, maybe I don't know. But it's I'm not going to get ripped, but I don't want to get ripped. That's not me.
No. But more beanpole than rugby player.
Yeah, thanks for that. Beanpole, beautiful. It's true, but a little bit rude.
You could say telegraph pole, if you prefer.
Thanks. But what I am now is a telegraph pole that doesn't have that weird jutty out bit in the middle as much as it used to.
The bump.
Yeah. So, and what was good is one of my criteria was, and I forgot about this, is I want to feel and see a difference within 2 months. Because if I don't, I'll give up. Yeah. So he picked a thing that said you will feel a difference if you do it like this. And I have.
And apart from the fact that you've reduced your bump and that you feel stronger, what have the other benefits been? So, in what way do you feel different?
So I feel proud, honestly. So when I realised I've done 3 nights in a row of this thing that felt horrible and sickening 3 months ago, I was super proud of me doing it. Proud that I've encouraged another person to do something that they'd kind of dipped out of a little bit. Sleep. If I don't drink vodka, my sleep is pretty good.
And he drinks a lot.
Only when I have it in the house.
Every night.
But yeah,
which is not to be encouraged, by the way. I should say.
We're only joking. It's only every.
He drinks very responsibly, once a quarter.
Once a quarter. But yeah, so sleeping better, feeling better. I'm about to say looking better.
Marginally. I think you can have it. You can have it.
Thank you very much for that, man. And yeah, and most importantly, it's taken me almost no time to do it whatsoever. It's not a big upheaval. So it's not getting in the way of anything else I have to do. It's 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I think, there's some really good lessons in there that we've touched on already. I mean, just a couple of thoughts and you have done really well. And you can tell the difference. You do seem happier in yourself. There's a noticeable difference, not just to yourself, but to everybody else as well. This bit... Not that for any moment you lacked confidence before, but a bit more of a sense of confidence about yourself, which I think all of us, whether we like to admit it or not, if we feel like we look a bit better, it does give you stand up a bit taller and you kind of hold yourself with a bit more confidence as well, so that's important. And I think having watched you do that from the outside in, it's been really interesting to watch, and just the fact that you've been consistent has been good, because I think you're right, you're a bit flighty, and I'm roller skating for a week, and now I'm swimming, and now I'm going to try running, and it's
never swimming, just to let you know. Swimming is bobbins. Never swimming.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tina, swimming is bobbins.
It's very wet.
You are quite intelligent, like you described.
Thank
before.
you.
Very astute.
Thank you so much. Very insightful. I've totally lost my train of thought now. So there's loads of things that I think people can take out of that story. I mean, a couple of things that I'm yet to implement, but I think are going to be important for me, is I think one is making an appointment almost with yourself, of almost booking in a time when that's going to happen. Because I think I can fill my life with all different things, but making an appointment with exercise, almost as going on a date with some kind of exercise, is going to be important. It's in my diary, that's when it's going to happen. It's half an hour. I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to go and play basketball. And I think when I look back at things I've done in the past, they have been scheduled. So basketball club was on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, and you get home, and no matter how you feel, you're going to go because that's my routine and that's what's scheduled in. So I think that kind of diarising it is really an important tip as well.
And this is not kind of that there's a reliance for other people on you then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when there's a structure and you're letting people down if you don't do that, that's a great motivating factor for somebody like you who likes to give and be there for other people.
Yeah.
The interesting bit I think you might be struggling with is when it doesn't affect other people, if you don't do it other than yourself, is it going to be enough to motivate you?
Yeah, and I think that is what I'm realising over time is that's the big problem of, if I've got half an hour and there's a choice between, do you know what, I could iron the kids' school uniforms because that's something that needs to be done because they're relying on me, or I can make their packed lunches, or I can go and read with them in bed, or I can spend some time with Robin, or whatever it is. Actually, I would never, up to now, I've never chosen to prioritise my own physical health over any of those other people who are relying on me for something. But it's not true. So committing to my truth, that's what I tell myself. But there is time to do it all.
I think there is that bit of, we can say it's not a choice between one or the other.
No,
let's do that one, and then do that one.
And clearly, I'd be a better dad, a better husband, a better employee, a better project, whatever it is. I'd be better in all aspects of my life if I felt a bit happier about my physical activity and how I looked and my weight and everything else.
Because you'd be a happy person.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to figure out, I think, each of us individually, how do we get to that point where we recognise and then prioritise this sense of, even if you think everyone else in your life is more important than you, the reality is if you look after yourself, you can do a better job of those things as well.
Yeah. Which you should have said for your final thought, really, because that was beautiful.
All of what I said could have been the final thought, to be fair.
It would have been a long blooming thought.
It's all pretty good stuff.
It's all gold.
Yeah.
I think the interesting bit for you, I mean, we should have done this live, but we're going over time, so let's not. Coming back to that bit of you drawing up your criteria. So for me, to be able to do anything, I'm going to give you my criteria. My criteria might be 20 things long, because I'm going to try and find all sorts of reasons not to.
0 minutes, 0 effort, 0 cost.
But it would be interesting of what you come up with that kind of criteria. So it has to fit around this, it has to include this, etc. So anyway, I think we might return to this in the future.
Yeah, let's do it again.
To see how we're doing, to see if I've dropped off the charts and I'm back to being a telegraph pole with a sticky out bit. Whether you're absolutely out there smashing it and you can't stop smiling at everybody because you're loving life more than you've ever loved it before. Or if we're somewhere in between. But that's all part of the journey and the experience that we're going to be on.
Mm-hmm. I'm ready for it.
Bring it on.
Let's come back 6 months, book it in, make an appointment with the podcast team.
Okay, we will. We are that team, so that's booked.
Should be easy. Book it
in. Sorry, I tried to hold off a cough and didn't quite manage it for the podcast. So, that wraps that up, a little bit of our personal journey. All that's left to do is do our usual kind of thank you to everybody for listening, and then pass it over to you for a final thought.
Sounds good.
So, thank you again, everybody, for spending some time with me and Ken. If you thought this was any good and you thought Ken was an awesome special guest and something we should do in the future and bring him back...
Yeah, at Ken Massa on all social media channels. Check it out.
But you all knew that because you already know about Ken.
Probably.
Share the love. Click to subscribe to future podcasts even. You can follow us on Twitter at TaAF Talks and tweet away any of your thoughts or ideas. Thanks loads for listening, and I'll now pass you over to Ken to sign us off.
So my final thought for this podcast is for each of us to remember that we were born active, and if you're feeling like you're not physically active or you want to do more, you're not starting something new. You just need to remember that you are an active person. We were born to move, and just give it a go.